Hey Carla, so I am finally getting to your proof, so just make sure you watch this video all the way through before you make any changes and submit your final. Again, this is going to be something that I think you would love to have portfolio ready, and as far as the grading rubric goes for your final grade, I am going to take into consideration whether or not you took my feedback, so it's very important that you watch this video and take notes on what to change. I'm going to tell you some things to change probably, and also just some recommendations, so that will be left up to you whether or not you change them or not. So overall, it looks very, very clean. I did look at your InDesign file and everything looks pretty good there. So I'm going to get into like some design feedback as well as some layout feedback as well, possibly. So the front cover is very clean. I love the colors that you've chose to work with here. You've got a nice little gradient here. I think it works really well for the front. For the front, I would say this image is absolutely gorgeous, and I think you could stand to make it much larger, maybe even fill almost the entire space with this image. Or you could keep it small like this and maybe put a white stroke around the photo or something like that. I think that would help a lot. Now, getting into your other pages, I see that you are being very, very consistent in the background being the same every time. I would advise you to stay away from doing that because it just looks too much of the same. So maybe on like the table of contents page, you could try to just take this gradient color from behind altogether. Maybe you could leave it white. Maybe you could choose even a different color, even maybe making this entire gradient, changing it to this black color that you have for your type, and then making your type white. And so that would create some really high contrast as people are flipping through the pages. And so I think that would really set it off and make it look really good. Again, that's going to be totally up to you. Your table of contents, other than that, look really good. So we'll go through and start looking at your other pages. Try to see if you can get creative here. You can get rid of the quotations from this content here. Again, you're going with the same gradient in the background. That's okay, but maybe you can choose to do something a little different here. Maybe an image, something like that to this page. See what you can do here to dress it up some. So now we're getting into the different categories. Your type looks great. Let's put a comma for each of these for after the 1000. Put the comma before the 4. It does look like you may have some leading issues with your content here. So see, these first 2 lines are spaced equally from where they are up here. But you see there's just more space between this line and this line. So go in and select all of that, making sure to select your hidden character at the end of this sentence, and then make sure your leading is the same all the way. So just double check that throughout. That might be that's a common issue that happens where the last line just doesn't have the same leading. So just double check that. As far as the design of this goes, again, I think you can stand to make your images much, much larger. And if you don't want to do that, you can maybe do some sort of stroke around the image or something like that, just to really make it look finished, because as of right now it just looks like the image was just placed in there and kind of quickly. So think about some other ways that you can really set off these pages. Whatever you choose to do here, just be consistent on those pages. You can try to take your background gradient and making it smaller. Maybe you can just make it fill the bottom part of the page. Sometimes that looks really good. So just play around with that and see what you can come up with. So again, whatever you choose to do it here. You have the word gatherings on a line by itself, and we want to remember the rule that we want to have always give our lonely word a friend. And so anytime there's a lonely word at the bottom, just try to break that line somewhere. So for example, after maybe family, so dinners and gatherings would go on this line here. You would just do a forced line break after family. Looks good. Just be consistent, whatever you choose to do. Yeah, looks good. You do have a comma here, so that's good. So just double check and make sure you do have commas where they belong. Give sleep a friend, so maybe good night's sleep can go all down here. Looks good. So for your back page, make sure you review everything that's been put into Moodle as far as what's required for that back page. So this is a piece that would be mailed out, and so it does need the postage, and so you'll see that right up here. I've put an example of that in Moodle that you can see. Make sure you word it just like you see it here, and then you'll need to put local postal customer right down here, so you can kind of look at anything that's been mailed and kind of see how that's laid out. You can do that all in InDesign, so you would make just a white box and then put the type in the middle of it, and the same thing here, just a white square, and then put the type on top of it. Now this one's layout or orientation is different, so they decided to do it this orientation, but you can keep yours portrait orientation, and so your postage would then be, for example, on this side, and then your local postal customer would be right down here. Your contact information can stay. Like I tell everybody else, this is really nice real estate to use as marketing, whatever the company is. And so if someone went and got this out of the mailbox, for example, and then threw it on the table, the rest of the family would probably just walk by it if it didn't have a lot of really nice visuals and stuff. But if you put some really cool images on the back, I think you could fit that up here. Currently, your contact information is really, really large, so I recommend you go down significantly in the point size. It doesn't need to be that big. This one is actually pretty big too, so I would recommend going smaller than that. So just make that much smaller. Make sure you put your postage up here, maybe an image or something else to really grab attention. The logo would look really good nicely on the back as well. So play around with that and see what you can do. Other than that, this looks really good. As far as a first proof goes, I really want you to, for your final submission, really, do some changes as far as the design goes, adding to it. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna see if I can, I'm gonna go in and open up your InDesign file as well, just to double check, see if I can get it open really quick. So I just wanted to, so don't worry about this pink here. That's just showing me that the font is missing. So just when you package that, make sure you package it before you submit, and that's fine. Your margins look great. This looks good. Just make sure you see right here, make sure that you are grabbing this and bringing it all the way to the bleed. It's a good job on putting that bleed there as well. Let me see if I can. I was going to show you something really quickly. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to unlock your images. I was going to show you something. So sorry, bear with me. Let me go to your pages. Okay, so that's what it is. You have that on your parent page, and that's fine. So like I was saying about maybe changing the way some of those pages look, well, first of all, let me just say, good job on using your parent pages. Most students will actually just skip that completely. But you are doing the right thing by using that parent page, but you do have to just make sure that sometimes it might have to change up a little bit. So like I was saying, everything's really just the same color over and over and over. And sometimes to really create emphasis or contrast, switching up the color can just really set things off. So see, for example, this one here, they chose to not necessarily fill the entire page with this really dark gray color. They left some white down here. And then the pages change as far as what they look like. Now the design is very consistent, but things change very slightly. So for example, and I'll just do kind of example here. We'll double click on this one. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to tell it to override all parent page items for pages 6 and 7. And then I can click on this and make some changes if needed. So what might really look cool is if I just take this shape right here and bring it down. And I do see that you have a gradient, so it is going to look a little bit weird. But for example, now see this. Look at what that just did. Just by taking that color and just bringing it to the bottom, that would have to be adjusted obviously with the gradient here, but just by taking that and pulling it down, just kind of splits it up and it gives you some space to breathe. It gives you some white space. Looks really, really nice. See if you can play around with some stuff like that. Even if you don't like that look, that's totally cool too. If you want to go in and maybe just add a nice stroke in here, just something simple that might set it off a little bit. I was saying for the table of contents page, we're going to override this one really quick. So for example, maybe you want the table of contents to be totally white, and that just gives some contrast there. You could also, like I was saying, play around with the color. So you're keeping with your color theme very well, but a nice dark gray color actually would look really good here. Let me bring up my colors and swatches. Let me change the color really quick. So maybe so that you're using probably a black, but even if we were to go in and put in a really, really dark gray color, and then make our type white, for example. So that actually staying with the same color theme, because you do have some gray coming in down here in your gradients throughout. You can bring that other color as a solid somewhere else like this, and that might work too. So there's just so many things you can do here. You've done the hard part by setting up the document and getting everything in here. So now just go in and see if you can make some changes as far as the design goes. So, but really good job on the proof. Please let me know if you need anything. This is the last project that we're working on. The semester ends next week, the 5th, I think. So you don't have much time, so just do your very best. And again, let me know if I can help you in any way.